Support for this podcast comes from listeners and St. Alphonsus Health System, a regional network of hospitals, clinics, and care providers. St. Alphonsus offers comprehensive healthcare services to individuals and families throughout the community. More information about services and locations is available at stalphonsus.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho Daily News. Good morning, I'm Troy Oppie. It is Wednesday, December 3rd. Today's headlines include a significant reward to find poachers in North Idaho, electric vehicle chargers for the state's main thoroughfares back on track, and we've reached muddy trail season in the Boise foothills. The Canyon County Sheriff's Office says a domestic disturbance late yesterday morning led to a fatal shooting in the unincorporated community of Beaumont, that's south of Nampa. In a news release, the Sheriff's Office says Canyon County deputies responded to a residence and found a deceased male and a second gunshot victim who was transported to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect was detained and cooperative, according to the Sheriff's Office. Identities are not being immediately released. As temperatures shift, Boise is closing a handful of its trails in the foothills for the muddy winter season. Here's Julie Luqueta with more.
5 years ago, the city started closing a small portion of its 220 miles long trail system to prevent erosion. Ridge to Rivers manager David Gordon says hiking on wet soil can widen pathways and damage drainage.
And those soils on these particular trails are heavier in clay, and when they are used heavily, the damage is long-standing, and it's really difficult for us to repair.
Gordon says the need to close trails came as snow coverage dwindled and pathways stayed muddy over the winter.
Now we have warmer temperatures, we don't see as much snow, and on the majority of the days, our temperatures tend to go above freezing.
He says as both the population and the popularity of the trail system grow, so does the need to protect the foothills.
We are seeing more damage. We've always seen it, but we're seeing more of it as our weather pattern has changed. And as our use has increased. Our use is, much, much higher than it used to be as well.
Some of the trails are also closed to protect critical elk and deer habitat, like the Hawkins Ranch Reserve or the Hidden Springs area. Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
You can find more information on daily trail closures, including the city's interactive foothills map, at boisestatepublicradio.org. A $2,000 reward is being offered by the Citizens Against Poaching group for information that leads to the arrest of anyone responsible for the taking of a bighorn sheep near Riggins. State Fish and Game says a bighorn sheep, which was not in season in that area, was taken sometime between November 20th and November 22nd with no attempt to recover the animal. Sportsmen found it above Big Salmon Road near Partridge Creek. It had been shot in the head. The incident has angered many local residents, according to State Fish and Game. Information can be reported to the Citizens Against Poaching hotline or the local Fish and Game office. A plan for networked electric vehicle chargers across the state of Idaho is back on track after receiving approval from the Trump administration. The Idaho Capital Sun reports the approval came from the Federal Highway Administration last month after work on EV charging projects across the country had been abruptly halted just weeks after President Trump took office. States received new guidance in August, according to the Idaho Transportation Department, which then reapplied for its funding in September. The Sun reports there were no big changes in ITD's updated plan. It calls for EV chargers roughly every 50 miles along major thoroughfares across the state. Funding had been previously approved in the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, passed in 2021 under the Biden administration. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Colorado is changing its name at the direction of the Trump administration. It will now be called the National Laboratory of the Rockies. The U.S. Department of Energy announced the name change this week. Officials say the new name reflects a broader approach to the country's energy future. Quote, "We are no longer picking and choosing energy sources," unquote. This isn't the lab's only name change. It was established in the 1970s as the Solar Energy Research Institute. In the 1990s, it was renamed NREL under President George H.W. Bush. The federal government has long allowed ranchers to graze livestock on public lands for a fraction of what it would cost on private land, but an analysis of grazing permits shows about 3/4 of decade-long grazing permits renewed by the Bureau of Land Management have been renewed with no evaluation of the land the permit is for. That analysis from nonprofit journalism outlets ProPublica and High Country News. A similar study of permits issued by the U.S. Forest Service, done by conservation group Western Watersheds Project, showed a similar low rate of land evaluations. Behind that trend is a 2014 congressional mandate ordering agencies to renew permits even if they can't complete environmental monitoring. Another factor, BLM staffing shrank nearly 40% between 2020 and 2024. BLM staff also say they feel pressured to go easy on ranchers and that oversight under the Trump administration has been taken away from agency staff and given to political appointees. Overgrazing can lead to invasive plants spreading, increased wildfire danger, and increased silt in streams and river ecosystems. Specific examples of long-term harm reporters found on public land is included in that story. You can read it at ProPublica.org. The Idaho Capitol Christmas tree lighting is this evening. The celebration at the Capitol begins at 5:30 with the lighting at approximately 6:30. Governor Brad Little will speak. Santa Claus will be on hand for the kids. There'll be music as well. Things wrap up at 7:30. There are road closures around the Capitol tonight for that event. Boise State football had 4 players honored as first-team All-Mountain West selections this season. Offensive lineman Cage Casey and Mason Randolph, and defensive backs Ty Benefield and Marion McCoy. Running back Dylan Riley, D lineman Braxton Feely, and Jaden Virgin Morgan, and defensive back Jeremiah Irby were named to the second team. Those honors announced by the Mountain West yesterday. UNLV quarterback Anthony Colandrea was named Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. He led the conference in passing yards and touchdowns. He leads the Rebels into Bronco Stadium for the conference title game on Friday night. Here's Boise State coach Spencer Danielson.
Colandrea is playing better than almost anybody in our entire conference. Everything runs through him. You might have everything covered, but he's not. And he's going to get out, and that is going to be explosive. Once again, they're the only 10-win team, one of the few 10-win teams on the West Coast. And that's a testament to them growing and them playing better football.
Specifically, UNLV has played really well since October 18th. That was when Boise State scored 28 straight points in the second half to take control of what had been a 4-point game. The Broncos will also get quarterback Maddox Madsen back from injury. Kickoff Friday on the Blue is at 6. The telecast is on the Fox Network. That's today's episode of The Connector. I'm Troy Oppie. I'll catch you back here tomorrow morning. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, you can download the free Boise State Public Radio app, or we're always online at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks for listening. Have a great Wednesday.
How does AI even work? Where does creativity come from? What's the secret to living longer? TED Radio Hour explores the biggest questions with some of the world's greatest thinkers. They will surprise, challenge, and even change you. Listen to NPR's TED Radio Hour wherever you get your podcasts.